Okay, they just dropped a massive update which made half of the Deep Desert PvE, so I've just been trying to get into as much content as I can in the Deep Desert. This whole week I was just like living there for the most part, and it seems like no one wants to go for a fair fight. The only times you get engaged are if you're out with a storage unit and they have rockets, or if it's like a 1v3 or something. Otherwise they just run away. So over here, I came out to the large spice field, which had spice when I came there, but it all disappeared. So I thought the giant worm was gonna come out, and then I was trying to see that, but then these guys started to shoot at me. And with the Thopter changes, like, there's no way they catch up to you. I was just toying with them at this point. I put in proximity chat that like these guys suck, because they clearly do. And yeah, they wouldn't stop. Like, I just wanted to see the giant worm, but I think somebody said in chat that it only comes out once every 8 hours, which that's a big bummer because I still haven't seen it. But yeah, as you can see, like, there's no way that you get caught out unless you make like a stupid mistake. There's also a lot of like pacifists. So sometimes when you go to the large spice fields, there's like 4 to 5 people just like constantly farming it and running away with it, which is funny. I just find it really funny. And then I was in Haga Basin, and then this one guy needed a lift. They lost their sandbike somewhere, so I picked him up. But unfortunately, if you dive with somebody on top of the Thopter, it pushes them off. Luckily, I was able to dive down, and they suspensor belted over to me, and then eventually I caught him. The only downside was that I had to like drive it at the regular speed, which is like super slow. And then this is a clip where I was not paying attention. I was not checking the skies. I was just AFK farming, and this guy like bombards me with rockets. But even then, even after he broke one of my wings, like, he could not catch up to me. And I messed up again, right? Because I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. I kept going north, and I believe this was in like I-9 or I-2. So if you go north all the way, there's a purple border or a blue border that shows up, and you can't cross over it. So I just ran myself into a wall. But that's okay, you know, it's not a problem. I can just go away and he won't be able to catch up to me. But yeah, as you can see, the Thopter changes are phenomenal for like, as far as like solo play and farming goes. I made all the mistakes in this clip, right? I was AFK farming, I was not checking the skies, and then I ran into the wrong direction. I crashed into the wall pretty much, and even then, even with one wing broken, like, this guy could not catch up to me. And this is only a Mark V assault or a Thopter. I think the rocket changes are really good in the sense that if you don't want to fight, or if you're not equipped to fight, then you're gonna get out, because most of the people that attack are usually attacking people that are not equipped to fight. So it's like the rocket guys attacking the storage guys. But then if I come out in a rocket, then they usually never engage. They'll usually always just run away. Which I'm like, come on, dude. Like, if you want to fight, then fight me when I can fight. Don't fight me when I can't fight, you know? Okay, this is another clip where I was actually paying attention. So I would do 4 compacts, and then I would look up, and then 4, and then look up, and then store. And that's been really good for not getting caught out with your pants down. So I noticed this guy, and then I took off, and then he tried to spam rockets, but yeah, I'm already gone. And then with the booster, you can just go straight up into the sky, like, they can't even catch up to you. And yeah, as you can see, like, I just have the high ground advantage, and there's no way he can take me down. And then this is another clip of like the AFK farmers. So this was a medium spice bloom, and literally so the server I'm on, like, the people are pretty chill. There's like a couple griefers, but for the most part people are chill. And they point out like spice locations and stuff, so everybody just rushed over to this medium bloom and started compacting away, and I thought it was super funny. There's like 5 to 6 guys harvesting a medium spice field. Absolutely hilarious. And then this is like a whole bunch of people at the giant spice fields. Again, a bunch of these guys I think are pacifists, slash most of them are there to farm. But one guy was trying to sabotage the mission. So this guy came out, and he would like periodically turn on his shield and then disable it, so that like you wouldn't get caught, or like he wouldn't get caught doing it. But I noticed it, and he was just like constantly making the worm come out. And I was like, come on, dude. Like, I was laughing. I was like, some guys have literally nothing better to do than to just come out here and start bringing out the worm so that other people can't farm spice. Okay, and then I tried to get into PvP situations. So this guy landed at a control point. So I was like, okay, this is like a perfect opportunity for me to go and get into a 1v1. But then he instantly just takes off. I landed on the Thopter, and he's trying to kidnap me. But yeah, I jumped off before he could do that because otherwise I would have probably ended up in the sand or someplace worse. And then I was so desperate for like even like an ounce of actual PvP that I camped out a shipwreck for like 15 whole minutes. And someone actually came in. That was actually quite interesting, to say the least. If you notice, as soon as this person entered, their character looks directly at my character. And I think that's the game's like soft lock-on. So even if you're hiding in a corner, if you're an enemy to the other player, like it's gonna instantly target you and they're gonna realize that. So that kind of gave me away. But yeah, I think at this point this guy was just trying to run away. You can tell by the little backwards spot walking people do. It's because the character is locked on. And there's no like actual lock on lock off thing, right? So he's like backtracking, but he's doing it like a bot walk almost. And then he used the Benny Jezrak skill that makes him invisible to me. However, I got my Swordmaster thing off and you can see a little green hue around the guy. But also my sword swings would like lock onto him even though he was invisible. And I heard him doing the Bindu sprints while he was invisible. I have no idea where he was going. And at that point it was like over. No, he wants to get out. I can't really do much against that. But yeah, that's been my experience so far. You can't get into fights unless you're at like a severe disadvantage. No one wants to fight me when I go out with rockets. If I go out with the storage, then all the rocket people want to fight me. Okay, they made massive changes to the deep desert. Everything up to half of Ebro is PvE, and everything beyond that is PvP. So I set up a base. I wasn't gonna do this. I was gonna focus on the journey and stuff, but then I was like, oh my god, it's a major change, and I should probably take advantage of it. So I have two of these large water things set up, which they're completely useless if I'm being honest. Like, they're alright for like passive generation where you don't have to worry about it, but the amount they make is like so negligent that I never have enough water for like any production. And then this right here is a large spice refinery. This thing is honestly like a game changer. But if you look at this thing, it takes 10,000 spice sand to make 200 spice melange. Now you might be like, oh my god, that's so much. But the medium one, that thing takes 7,500 to only make 100. So in comparison, this is like way better. I have 400 melange in this, and it also makes like a shit ton of spice residue, which I'm not too sure what to do with that. And then I also got an assault orney set up. This thing is like an absolute unit. And since the Thopter changes, like the ones with rockets are so slow that for the most part you can just get away from anything unless you like royally screw up. I built one of these things. This is like the biggest storage unit in the game, and it's made with plastinium. So I was like, okay, this thing's gonna be awesome. But then it doesn't really hold a whole lot of spice. I think it holds like 25,000, maybe a little bit less. But it fills up fairly quickly. Still, it's been like a huge lifesaver because of all the spice I've been farming. So right now I have 500, around 300, 800 here, and then I have 400 in the spice refinery. And then once I break the spice refinery down, that's gonna be another 500 melange. So I'm like close to 1900 spice melange right now once I like take it all back home. Now, am I gonna set up a large spice refinery back in Haga Basin? Most probably not. That seems like an absolute waste because you're gonna have to hit up like 20 of those little spice fields to get 200 melange. Which, I mean, you could probably do it, but it seems so tedious that like, why would you even bother with that? You hit up a large or medium spice field in the deep desert, and it's like so much better. Like 2 trips, I think I get around 10,000, which is 200 melange. And then I can also go ahead and set up the large ore refinery, but I don't think there's a point to that. So yeah, the medium one takes 6 ingots to make 1 plastinium. The large one takes 4 ingots to make 1 plastinium. I feel like that's not really all that worth it compared to like the large spice refinery. That one's like a beast. But the large ore refinery, I guess over time it would be useful, but I'm not gonna craft it. I don't think there's a point to it. I kind of regret building here because I picked this spot mainly for like aesthetic reasons, and this thing is like in D. This thing is in D8. Ideally, I think you should build in like E5. This thing is also bugged, so this is D. This should be E8, but it's called F8, and then this one's F7. So I think that bug has been there since like the very start, but they haven't fixed it for some reason. But I think ideally you probably build in like E5, E6. That way you're like in the center of the map and you have access to everything. Plus you can see the spice explosions from like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 tiles away. So right now the way that it's set up is that all the spice spawns are fixed. So on this week's session, I guess, there's a large ringworm spice field in I9, I2, and F5. Now the thing is, the one in F5 is like super close. If you're in E5, it's like 1 tile away. But that one has not respawned since like, I've checked like over a span of like 2 days, and I have not seen it restock. But the ones in I9 and I2 have like constantly been refreshing with spice. I'm assuming they did this on purpose so it's not like super easy to farm spice from like 1 tile away from a PvE zone. But yeah, it seems like the spice things are fixed, and going from here to I9 is like 12 to 13,000 meters. And then going to I2 is like 20,000 plus meters. So it's probably better to build in the middle. That way like everything is equidistant versus like having to trek so far away. And then I had to set up the advanced Fremen death stills because like I said, those water collectors, they're not enough. Even overnight, I think they cap out at like 70,000, maybe 80,000 water, which is nowhere near enough. And then I've just been hauling bodies over from Haga Basin every time I go back there. I think I have a couple bodies left over. Yeah, I still have 1 body left over. And yeah, these things have been so good for like producing stuff. Because the spice thing, that thing takes 75,000 water. And that's like an overnight thing for the water collectors. So I could only use it like once a day based off of that thing. It's way too slow. And then on top of that, if you want to refine the ingots, it makes it even slower because this thing takes a shit ton of water. And then on top of that, to make the plastinium, you also have to first make the stravidium, and then that also takes water. But yeah, overall, it's been pretty chill. There's so many more people active in the deep desert now. I think on my server, a lot of people have just generally made it out here, but also the new update like pushed so many people out here. The downside is that there's like barely any ore nodes. So I built on this island because A, aesthetics, but also there's a titanium node over there. And that's the only titanium node on this entire island. And then there's like 2 stravidium nodes somewhere. Should be on the map. Yeah, there's 1 stravidium, 2 stravidium, and then 1 titanium. And I've been seeing like a lot of people actually block off the node spawns. Like they'll make a box around the node and they won't have foundations on the bottom. It'll be like a foundation cube with the middle being empty. So they have like access to that node all for themselves. Initially, I brought out a buggy with a Mark 6 cut array, and I was just like constantly refarming that 1 node. It's not worth it. You're better off just running off to sector I or G and then farming the clusters over there instead of like trying to farm in the PvE zones. But yeah, the more I farm this thing, the more I realize that as a solo player, there's really no point to getting Mark 6 gear unless you want to like grind out the research sites. But then you're also just doing that to get more Mark 6 gear. So you're in like a constant loop of just grinding the uniques. Which, if you're not going to go PvP, it's only there for like aesthetic reasons or to show off. So there's no like actual end game PvE loop, if you will. Like as it stands right now, for me personally, I think you're better off having duraluminium gear and then maybe make a plastinium weapon or 2. And with that, you should be set to both farm the research sites and do like PvP. But like plastinium weapons, they only cost like 25 spice melange per weapon. And I think once I dismantle everything, like I said, I'll have like excess of 1900 melange. And today's Saturday, so I can still go crazy and just farm the heck out of spice. But the point still stands that like there's no actual use for it, at least for me personally. And since the Thopter changes, like a Mark 5 Assault and a Mark 4 Scout is really all you need to get away from everything. Or if you want to be a little bit faster, then just Mark 5 for both things. But either way, those things cost duraluminium, so again, you don't really need plastinium. I think the reason for plastinium is to like engage in PvP and stuff. And I tried to get into 1v1s, but most people, they just run away. The only time people will try to fight you is if you're at a big disadvantage. Like if you're out on a storage Orny, then they'll fight you with rocket Thopters. Otherwise, if you have rockets, they'll just run away. If you go for a 1v1, they'll just bindu sprint out and you can't even catch up to them. So I don't know what to do. I've been itching for PvP. I've been trying to get into PvP, but everyone seems like a pacifist. It's not like the server's not populated. At peak times, it goes up to like, I think 600 out of 1500 total players, which may not be like the most heavily populated server, but I still run into people. It's just everyone prefers to just run away. I just want to do a little bit of combat. It's, you know, the ground combat is so nice. The air combat, for me personally, it stinks. I tried Rocket's pre-nerf and post-nerf, and both situations, it's not that fun. On the bright side though, I have most of the story still left. I don't know how much exactly, but right now I have to do this assign from above. And then I also have a shit ton of contracts that I have to do, which I'm really looking forward to. The PvE has been phenomenal. The PvP ground combat is also phenomenal, but yeah, people don't want to fight. Unless you're like severely at a disadvantage, which I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's like the quick update, if you will. I was going to focus on journal and questing, but they dropped a huge patch and I had to like go check it out and take advantage.